Join in on the fun and grab your glue gun. It's the Preppy Crafty Girl Show.
Hey everybody, it's Johnna, the Preppy Crafty Girl, and I am here for hashtag giveascrap. And I'm going to do a project that will show you how to use some of your scraps. And I'm actually taking part in Angela, the Traveling Crafter's collab that she's doing with a bunch of other talented makers. And if you want to watch them, I'm going to link all of their YouTube channels so that you can get tons of ideas on how to use your scrap and honor Earth Day this month. So I'm super excited about what has been going on this month and what everybody's been doing and showing. And it has just been a wonderful 2 weeks now, almost 2 weeks, well, maybe 10 days of fantastic ideas on how to use your scrap. So hop along with us this month and join in on the fun of hashtag giveascrap. I am tagging my friend Dede Williams to join in on the fun. So I was sitting here thinking about what am I going to do with scraps? And I am currently working on 2 spring journals that had to do with bunnies and all things spring, flowers and stuff like that. And I remember back in around 1997, somewhere in there, 2000, that we used to use our punches because we didn't have die cut machines and cutter machines unless you were a school teacher and had access to the old AccuCut systems, which were massive in the school. Then you had to get creative. So one of the things we used to do is we used to make our own die cuts with punches, and we would make different die cut, layer die cut pieces for embellishments in our scrapbooks. And Stampin' Up! Had a huge thing with this where they would do different little creatures and different little designs using your scraps and punching them with certain punches that they sold. Well, I don't have all their punches. I have a few and I'm using one of them. The rest are by like EK Success or I don't know. These are so old and I'd never tossed any of them. They're like ancient. And I even have ones that are vintage that give me different size circles, and I have some newer ones and I have some older ones, and so I pulled these out to play with. This is the Stampin' Up! One that I have. I pulled these out to play with, and I think you are going to enjoy this little thing. You may already know about making little scrap punched creatures, and so this may not be new to you, but if it is new to you, pull out your punches, or if you haven't done it in a while, pull your punches out in all kinds of shapes, whatever shapes you have, and let's create some creatures. So what we're going to be making today is we're going to make this sweet little bumblebee. This one's super easy. I'm going to go ahead and start with the bumblebee, and then after that we will get into the next level up, which will be the little chicken hatching out of the egg, baby chick. And then the next one we'll do, which is a little more, not as easy, but a little more involved, is the little bunny peeking his head over whatever. You can put him on a tag like I did this one. He looks really cute on the top of a tag. Or I did on my page, hold on one second. Let's see, I think it's in this one that I'm working in. I'm working in this one right now. And he looks super cute going down the edge of a page. So that's how I used him. I don't have my signature sewn in yet. Sorry, they're kind of flip-flopping around. No pun intended. But anyway, I just tucked him there and I glued him down and he makes a really cute page edge. But today I want to work on making a belly band for my other journal, which is this one that I'm working on for a bunny, Home for a Bunny. And I need to make a belly band for that. And I thought the chick would be such a cute little belly band going down a page. Well, any of these certainly would. So let's get started. We're going to start doing the bumblebee. So what I did was I used the EK Success 1.5 circle punch. You can use any 1.5 circle punch, or you could just find something that you could trace around that makes a circle. That's fine too. You could trace or you could draw your own things. In fact, this probably right here, the center of a washi tape, is probably going to be pretty close to 1.5 inches now that I am looking at that. So you might want to pull out those unused washi tapes and use that as a template. Anything round goes for this. So I did a little prep work because I figured you were not going to want to sit here and watch me punch. And what I did was I took all the scraps that I was working on making my journal, and I just kept putting them in a pouch. So these all match my project, and I have everything I need right here. I just put all my scraps in a little pouch, and I'm good to go when it comes time for me to work on these projects. So the first thing I did was I took the yellow, which is the body, and I punched him out. That's the 1.5 inch punch. Then I punched another one, which I did out of black, and those are gonna be the stripes. And then what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna punch some eyeballs, which I didn't punch out, pre-punch any eyeballs because, well, there is one hanging in there, but because I knew they would kind of go missing, so I didn't punch any eyeballs. So I need the black to punch some eyeballs with. I'm just going to take this little piece. Okay, and then I did punch this little flower, but you could hand cut the tail. It's just a little rectangle. Anybody can hand, you know, do it. But I took out the little flower punch. This is by Family and Treasures. Oops. Oh my goodness. I think this is like from the 1990s. It was made in Korea. So it's probably from the 1990s. But anyway, yeah, so I did punch out one of those in the black. And that's all. Oh wait, you're gonna need a little piece of vellum, but you don't have to use vellum. You could use white cardstock, but I had a scrap of vellum. And so you're gonna want that for the wings. You're also going to need a little pen, a thin line pen. Mine is 0.01, and for drawing all the details, the stitching, that's not necessary. You don't have to do some hand stitching. I think the outlining just makes it a little, it kind of brings it a little to life, and you're gonna wanna draw in the little mouth. And then you're gonna need some glue. I'm using this, oh my gosh, don't even look at my bottle. It's terrible, I've had this thing forever. I just keep refilling it. I'm using the art glitter glue just because it dries really quickly. And then for the little eyeball pieces, I am gonna use this little pick. If you do not have a little pick like this is actually used for nails, to pick up the little gemstones that they put in your nails. And if you don't have one of these, this end's kind of like sticky to pick up things with. And then this is not a pokey tool, but this is actually for rhinestones. And but it helps also with picking up things. So you're gonna wanna definitely use this if you're gonna end up wanting to do this project more and more, because it makes picking up the eyeballs and the little tiny pieces way easier. Just saying, invest in one of those, is very cheap. I also have a paint marker, and this is going to be for, you could either do the whites of the eyeballs, but to be honest, I ended up just using this tiny little punch, and I punched it out of white. I don't even know, I think this is the 1/8 of an inch, if I'm not mistaken. And it's by Fiskars. I've had this one for a really long time, but you just punch that. I punch it and I put them in for the eyeballs because it's way easier. You don't have to. I didn't do it on him, and I did not do it on the little chick. However, I did do it on the bunny. So you can or you can't do, you just decide what you like. That's your preference. And if you want to do that, sometimes a pen might be easier if you have a white marker pen that you enjoy using. Okay, so let's get started with the bumblebee. So again, you're gonna take that 1.5 inch punch, and then all we're gonna do is take the black and you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to cut about, I'm going to say it's 1/4 of an inch, and you're going to cut that part off there of the circle, and that's going to make the very last stripe. Then you're going to just cut the next one another 1/4 of an inch, or a little bit wider or not. You can do it however wide you want. It's your bumblebee. And then you make another stripe. And you could do a couple of stripes. I'm just going to do 2. And then I'm going to get my glue out and just start to glue these down. Super easy. You can use a glue stick if you want. I just like the fine tip of this glue. Do you ever have that happen where you're in the middle of a project and you're talking and then all of a sudden you're like, you don't say the words you're thinking in your head? So, okay, there's that. Okay, then the next thing I want to do is I'm going to punch out with this heart punch. I'm not sure how big this heart punch is. It looks like it's 1/2 inch, and it has been beaten and battered, and this definitely is probably from the 90s. I think I got it at like an old stamp store. And you're just gonna, you can punch 1 or 2 or however many you want. I'm just gonna go ahead and punch out 2 in case these tend to go missing because they are clear. So I'm punching 2 in case 1 goes missing, but hopefully not, because I'm just gonna glue it right in there. And I'm just going to, I kind of tilt it a little bit because he's gonna be going that way. You can make yours go that way, whichever way you want them to go. I'll probably make them, because this is gonna go on a belly band, I'm gonna interchange them going down. Okay, then you are going to take the a rectangle or something like that, and you're just going to make the tail. I'm taking the petal of a flower. If you have it, great. If you don't, like I said, this is gonna be his little stinger. You can just cut a little rectangle or with a point. And I kind of put that at a little bit of an angle. And that is so easy. Now what we're gonna do is make some eyeballs. And for my eyeballs, I'm using this. Oh my goodness, this thing is, I picked it up, I don't even know where. It's heavy as all get out, but it punches great still, so I'm gonna use that, and it's a great size. This, I think, this is probably the 1/8 of an inch, and this one's 1/16 of an inch. I'm gonna say that. Oops. Now these really tend to go missing. So I'm just gonna punch 2 of those out, put them down on the table. And what I like to do when I'm working with these tiny parts, I will use the glue, and I just go in and I put my drops where I want the eyeballs. So I'm gonna kind of offset them, one a little bit higher than the other. I'm gonna use my little tool. I'm gonna pick that up. I'm gonna then drop it in the glue. Pick that up. See what I mean? This thing is awesome. And then they're set. And as they're drying, I'm going to go ahead and just do little dashes and pretend that I am stitching around, because, hey, if you can stitch around, great for you. With the sewing machine, I would never even attempt this little itty bitty thing. He would look super cute though, run through a sewing machine. So if you're that gifted with your sewing machine, I say, hey, have at it. I'm gonna go around the wings, and I'm gonna go down like a wing, even though that's not part of the heart, and I'm gonna go up like the other one. And see, now you can start to see how he's getting defined. And then really where the magic happens is when you give him a happy little smile, because he's just a happy little bumblebee. And there you have it. See how simple that was? Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next project. So there you go. Go ahead, make a bunch of bumblebees and have a blast. All right, next project is going to be the little baby chick. And you're gonna use that same one. You're gonna use a 1.5 inch punch. And then we are going to use, now I did this with my diamond punch. Whoops, not that. I did this with my diamond punch, but then I found out, I felt like it was a little too big for his mouth. If you have the diamond punch, great, you can use it, but I felt it was a little big. So what all I did was I followed the punch line and I just cut off to the size that I like. Now you can just cut a diamond and that would be great, and that's all you want. You just want to kind of make it where it's more in scale or proportion with the punch that you're using, or if you drew out. Okay, so next what I did was I punched another one. Now this one was 1 3/4 inch circle, so something a little bit bigger than the chick's body. And then I just kind of went in and just did it, eyeballed it kind of in the middle, and I went down, up, down, up. If you are really picky, you could go and get your pinking shears out, I guess. I don't know. But that's going to make the egg. And then if you want to have him just peeking out, like he's peeking out of the egg, you can just take that other piece and place it on top of his head. That's an option if you don't want him with his little feathers at the top. So what I used for the feathers is I have those 2 punches that are the little flowers, and I punched those in 2 different sizes. Now, if you don't have that, you could very easily fussy cut out of whatever color you're making your little chick. You could fussy cut little, that would be super easy. It would be an upside down W, so anybody could do it. And you are going to take the bigger one, and that's going to be, you're going to cut 3 off, and that's going to be 1 wing. And then you're going to take the other side and you're going to cut 3 off that side, and that's going to be the other one. This would make a really cute, remember the little hats? They were like propeller hats. This would make a really cute propeller hat. The more you start working with this, you are going to see things out of your punches, and it's just going to open up your creativity with your scraps and your punches. And I know some people have been crafting for years, and I know you probably have these punches sitting in a drawer, so go get them out and dust them off like I had to, so that I could use my scraps. And that's it, other than I've got to do the 2 eyes, but I'm going to wait till I get them assembled, and then I'll do the 2 eyes, because like I said, they definitely go missing. And what I'm going to do here is I am just going to glue a little bit at the top, and I'm going to glue it to his body, and you kind of want part of the body covered. And then I'm going to, it's not very centered, but I guess it doesn't matter because some chicks don't come out of the center of the egg. And then I'm going to glue the little head on up here at the top. And then I'm going to glue his little wings on. So I just chose 3 things that are very springy. If you want to make other creatures, just Google, seriously, punch art, and tons of stuff comes up. And there's the other wing. And then we will do the little beak. And this is a great project to get your grandkids involved in, or your children. Just sit around and just have fun and do a mass make, and try to even challenge them to come up with different animals. you know, use their creativity. It's a great rainy day activity. Again, I'm gonna punch 2 eyeballs using this little punch. Oops, I don't know what was on that one. Again, if you don't have this little small punch, you could draw them in. Drawing them in works also. I just happen to have that small punch. So you could draw in everything from the beak to the eyes. So I'm going to put his or her eyes there. And close that up. And then I'm going to pick up, oops, oopsie. That needs to get screwed back on. Okay, there. And then there. And then I'm gonna take my pen and I'm gonna go around and stitch around the edge. I've also made these even bigger just by drawing around household items, and they make great little journaling spots. Here I'm just gonna do like kind of trace around but make it sketchy. So I tend to go back and forth, and you can also hold it a little bit more toward the end so you're kind of more free form. That way you get more of kind of a scratchy kind of a outline. But I can do it without holding it at the top. I just kind of outline it to make them look a little fluffy. And then I'm gonna give him, her little eyelashes. Let's see, little eyelashes. And then I'm gonna go down in the V, and I'm gonna kind of go back up to give the little beak there. And then again, I'm gonna make these look like feathers. So I'm just gonna draw some dashes like that. And then I need to go around and stitch. But these are simple little 5-minute craft. This is a simple little 5-minute craft. So there you go. I got my little chicks done. So we have bees and chicks, and now we're on to the bunny. So here's the bunny. This is the final project. And what you're going to need for this is you are going to need the 1/2 inch punch or a traced out 1/2 inch. You're going to need, again, the 1.5 inch circle. You are going to need some kind of oval, and you will need 2 of those. And these measure, if you use the 1.5 inch, these measure 1 3/4 by about 1/4 of an inch, a little over 1/4 of an inch. So this was that Stampin' Up! Punch, but you can just, just draw them like long floppy ears and just use that 1 3/4 inch length, and that's going to give you the right one. You're going to want to do one out of the pink. You're going to do 2 of the 1/2 inch circles. Those I use for the paws. And then I use that 1/8 of an inch punch, but you could always draw it in with a marker for the nose. And then I punched out for the black eyes. And that is all you're going to need for the bunny. If you want to screenshot that, go for it. Okay, so first off, we're going to work with the ears. So you have 2 ears, and we are going to work at about halfway down. You're going to want to fold 1 to the right and at an angle, and then 1 to the left, and 1 can be shorter. I think it's kind of cute when they're different lengths. Personally, I think it's just cute. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the pink and we're going to fold it in half. You only need a 1/2 of 1. So 1 whole 1 is going to make 2 sets of ears. And then all you're going to do is cut up the center. So cut that in half. Whoops. And then we are going to take these and we're going to glue them in. It doesn't matter that mine are rounded. That's what I'm saying. You could have just a strip of paper and you're going to go ahead and glue these in. When I make these and I'm needing a lot, I tend to work mass making, like assembly line. So right now I'm just, for your purpose, I'm showing you how to do it one at a time, but the best thing to do is punch them all out. Like right now I would have all the ears in line and then I'd have all these things cut out and then I'd just sit and I would glue them all down. Whoops, this one needs to go a little bit longer. Okay, and then you're going to take a little bit of glue and put it on the flopped part of the ear and drop that down, and you're going to glue it down. Now you don't have to. If you want to have it up, you can. I think they're kind of cute flopped down personally. And that is all that happens for the ears. That's how you make those cute little ears. And you don't have to do pink and white. You can do whatever color you want. So now what I'm going to do is put a little glue on the ears, and I'm going to lay the bunny head here and have a little space between the ears, and I might make it even a little wonkier, spread it out a little bit and drop it a little bit lower. Next, you're going to take the paws and you're just going to put a little glue where you want the paws, and then take the 1/2 inch circle and put it down there. And then next we're going to put a dot of glue right where you want the nose. Oops. Okay, well that's not working. And I'm just gonna drop that there where I want the nose. And then I'm gonna punch 2 of the black, because remember, now you can draw this next whole segment in if you want. Just draw a little circle for the eyes and you're good to go, but I have a punch, so I am using it. And you're gonna come in, and I tend to make mine close to the nose. I put the little dots of glue, and then I pick these up, and I will put that on the glue. I think that's easier. You put the glue where you want it, and then stick the eyeball down. Then try to sit there and get the glue right in the middle of those tiny little dots. And seriously, you're just about done. The next thing, all you have to do is take your pen, and I use, like I said, an 0.1, and I'm going to draw in little eyelashes, just the corner lashes, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do a J to the left, and then a backwards J, and that gives me his little top lip nose area. And then I'm just going to do little tiny whiskers. And then I'm gonna come in, and you know how they have those little dots, like you can see around their nose, like so, and that's the face so far. I'm waiting for these to dry, and then I'm gonna come in with the white ones. And then for the paws, first I went around and I faux stitched with my pen. Again, if you don't want to, or you don't feel like you are good enough with your pen work to do that part, you could just do the little scritchy scratchy I showed you, outline. And then what you're gonna do is over on the left one, you're gonna go from the center kind of out, and then you're gonna go and do little like curves, and that makes his little feet. And then you're going to go around the whole body, or the whole head with the stitching. See how he's starting to come to life once you outline? He's cute without the outlining, but I think the outlining really gives them a lot of character and definition. And then I'm going to come in. Now this is you don't have to do this part, but you can if you want. I'm going to use my tiny little hole punch, and I'm going to punch out of white. Now this is where it gets a little tricky because it's tiny work. If you have a white pen that you like to use, you can use the white pen. My punch has a little holder here, which is handy. Once I punch it, it drops down into that. And I'm going to do a bunch of them only because some go missing. Whoops, or they stick to your hand and then they go missing. So, okay. Then on the black part of the eye, I'm going to just put a tiny, this is where the precision thing really helps. Oops, I'm so used to mass making them that I just went to work on the next one. This is where having a precision top really does help. Then I'm going to get out my little tool again, and I'm going to pick up this little bitty piece, and I'm gonna put him right there on the bottom and make him kind of look like he's looking off to the side. And then depending, so let's give him a little there, a little bit of character. And that's it, guys. So look at how fast that we made these really cute little characters, and you are all set up now to make your own page band down the side, top of a tag. You could put it on a clip. If I put it on a clip, I would do another one. I would do them back to back like this, and then I would make sure that the ears kind of match up and put it on a clip. That way it'd be a little bit stronger. You could even put like a piece of cardboard in between, or another piece of cardstock in between to make it a little sturdier if it's going to be hanging on the outside of your book at all. And then, but I mean, come on, how cute are these and how easy is that? And it is a great way to use your scraps. So thanks again for joining me on this hashtag Give a Scrap hop, and stay tuned tomorrow because Martha Makes is going to be doing tomorrow's Give a Scrap, and she's an amazing artist. And I would just ask that I really appreciate anyone who wants to leave a comment. Tell me which one was your favorite, if you're going to try this project or not, or if you have done this before, or what animal you would like to see done. And you know, or if you need any help, you could always just reach out to me in the comment section and I will get back with you. Thank you, Angela, for having such a wonderful hop this April, and it's going on throughout the whole month of April. Yeah, and check out the other crafters, and I'm gonna link their timeline below. And Angela has a schedule up on her site, what days, and I'm also going to put that in my comment section. And I'm discovering a lot of artists that I have never even seen before, so I'm loving being a part of this community. I'm very honored, Angela, that you asked me to be a part of the community. And well, I don't know that you actually asked as much as I said sign me up. So anyway, guys, get crafting, use your scraps up, and have fun. See you later. Bye-bye.
The preppy craft girl, living in her crafty world. She loves creating junk journals, surrounded with vintage things and wallpaper scraps, vintage magazines, and she's just giddy with glue sticks and golden scissors in her hand. But most of all, she's happy when she's crafting with a friend.